And you can see that browner color coming out of portions of Canada and moving towards the east. That is dry air, and that means a storm system, a cold front, is moving on through. But ahead of the cold front, we're going to see some dangerous severe weather and heat develop. Let's cover that in this video. Here's what's going to be going on. Severe weather risk for your Tuesday, July 4th, making your way into your Wednesday and onward from there, with also heavy rainfall potential pushing east. So let's go ahead and get into this in the next 5 minutes in this One Nation weather forecast for America. It's July 3rd, 2023. We're talking about the forecast for the rest of the week and into the weekend. And here's your July 4th setup. We've got chance for severe weather from the UP of Michigan and portions of Minnesota all the way on back over to Colorado. We could see some big hail out of some of these storms, as well as some gusty winds. Isolated tornadoes cannot be ruled out. We'll look at that in a minute, but also some flooding getting going in this corridor as this new system really dives on down, almost like a clipper that you'd see in the winter. And then we also have a different low pressure system and really stationary boundary providing more showers and storms across portions of the east. Look at these high temperatures for your Tuesday. It is going to be hot July 4th. We've got heat alerts getting going. We've got temperatures well into the 90s, pushing on up towards the Great Lakes region. A lot of 90s in the East Coast, but notice how we're pretty cool up in the Dakotas as a result of that front. Temperature is quite warm in the desert Southwest, with temperatures well into the 110 to 120 degree range in some of these zones, with hundreds into California as well. It's going to be very hot for your July 4th. But look at this. We're also looking at a level 3 zone for some severe weather that comes out of far eastern Colorado, but mainly in portions of southern Nebraska and northern Kansas, with a level 2 strip making its way on up into Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan, as well as Minnesota. Secondary risk along the east coast and into portions of the south, where we have those storms developing more in the pop-up variety with that lingering boundary. Now your Tuesday, July 4th, again, looking at this, tornado risk is at least a level 1 out of 5 for us here, but it's mainly going to be that damaging wind as these storms push from northwest to southeast, where we could see some of these 70, 80, even 90 mile per hour gusts. That does include Goodland, Kansas, Hastings, Nebraska, the North Platte area as well. With hail across that entire corridor, could see some 2-inch hailstones at the maximum as it looks right now. Wouldn't be shocked if we get a few to go past that. Plenty of storm energy working up into this corridor for that development. We're at least looking at moderate levels of the Cape and joules per kilogram for us, just meaning that we have a lot of the storm energy there. Notice there's the low pressure system bringing some rain into portions of North Dakota and Minnesota in the cooler part of this as we go towards 8 a.m. on Tuesday in the morning. But notice how as we go into the afternoon, we start to see a few of these showers pop on up, but it's really around 5 p.m. when we start to see a dry line form almost, with dew points in the 50s back off to the west of it, 60s on the right side, and that's right where these storms are going to form. See them through portions of central Nebraska. This is the HRRR model bringing these storms on off towards the southeast. So look at this, 8 p.m. Central Time. You might be trying to get outside and do those fireworks, but eastern Nebraska and then down into northern Kansas, we're looking at these storms being quite dangerous here. Some of these storms up into Wisconsin and Minnesota seem underdone as well. There comes the damaging wind threat as these storms kind of bow out with that dry line following behind it. But look at the infrared imagery looking quite impressive with some of these pop-up storms. Look at that perfect line really going from portions of southwest Minnesota on down into northwest Kansas, something we definitely want to watch very closely. So your firework time frame looks like we're going to have some scattered pop-up storms, not for everybody, but for some of us in portions of the southeast, as well as some of those dangerous storms getting going in the upper Midwest, but especially into the northern plains for us there. So those are two zones that we definitely need to watch closely. And again, if you do not want to be outside shooting off artificial fireworks when there's nature's fireworks going on out there, aka lightning. Wednesday forecast high temperatures. We've got 90s in the east and the south, more triple-digit numbers getting going into portions of the southwest as this line continues to cool down places like the Dakotas and Minnesota where we dry out for your Wednesday. Look at this, the level 2 shield comes from southwest Michigan and then all the way curling back around over into portions of Colorado and New Mexico, where we could, again, see some big hail as we get that cooler air pushing in the upper levels. These storms get going. See them. We could even see some of the lingering storms from Tuesday push off towards the southeast and be dangerous in Missouri. And then we get a few of these isolated pop-ups later in the day that could have bigger hail as we go towards midnight Wednesday night from portions of the Lake Michigan area all the way back on down towards Oklahoma and Texas. Now look at this. We've got much nicer temperatures in many portions of the central and northern part of the country as we go to our Thursday, 70s and 80s there, but look at this, in the south central, the east, and the west, that's really where we really still have this heat. And then here's a look at the severe weather outlook Thursday. Even though we have some cooler air at the surface, we're still going to be able to get some very big hail makers Thursday afternoon, which is why the Storm Prediction Center has issued the Western Plains that level 2 out of 5 chance for some severe weather on the earlier side of things for us here. We've got that dry air, but notice how the more moist air, these are the PWatt values, which is basically just your precipitable water, and that is going to be higher than average. We've got that pushing back into the plains as well, and you can also see some of that cooler air in place, which is really going to help, again, fuel that hail potential there. There's where the storms will line up, I think, as we go Thursday evening, curling from portions of, say, Lake Erie, all the way back through the Mid-South, and then back on off into the western Great Plains for us here. So your severe certainty Thursday, this is what I believe it will be. Again, that level 2 out of 4 for me. Southeast Montana all the way on down to the panhandle of Oklahoma, with a narrow corridor as well into portions of, say, the upper Midwest, the Ohio Valley, as well as back into Arkansas. Those zones seeing a severe weather risk there. This system begins to weaken, but still produce some afternoon thunderstorms Friday afternoon and evening for us here as cooler enters the Great Lakes especially. And then look at this, we've got more of those storms firing up Friday afternoon that could be severe into portions of Nebraska. And again, there's that level 1 chance, according to me, that some of these storms could be severe along the East Coast and towards the I-95 corridor. Your Saturday afternoon trend shows a storm moving from west to east according to the Euro model, looking at some of the moisture getting into place in these zones. So I wouldn't be shocked if we get a stronger windstorm getting going here, damaging winds pushing out of these storms. The GFS also hinting at that. So we'll watch that into Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois, as it is a derecho time of year for us here. We do have some cooler air pushing on in that could support some hail as well. So here's that severe certainty. I've got a level 2 chance out of 4. Eastern Nebraska and portions of Kansas pushing eastward in a straight line towards Illinois, as well as some lingering severe storms along the East Coast and Mid-Atlantic. So we'll watch that. But the big story as well is also going to be some of the rain. We could see some of these 2-inch totals in many portions of the east, with locally 3 to 4-inch totals in some of the thunderstorms. Some hefty totals, though, 4 inches possible at the max, I do believe, with a few 5-6-inch totals possible into portions of Kansas and Missouri. But we do need it. We've been dealing with some drought there, heavier totals along the Gulf Coast as well. So the headlines recap: more storms could ruin your firework plans. Severe from the plains to the East Coast coming in through your Friday. We're watching that secondary system this weekend that could bring the severe weather into the Midwest on your Saturday. Subscribe, hit the like button. Thank you so much for joining me, and here are the credits, everyone.